Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we finally got some parts in for our C3 LS Swap. So now it's time to get going on it and then we can take it for a rip. So the thing that we've been waiting on for the most part has been the side pipe muffler inserts. Now the car has the side pipes on it already, obviously. You guys watched us build the headers and all that for it. But the thing was so loud that I just could not drive the car. It was just crazy loud. People were getting angry, waving their arms in the street. I mean, it was pretty ugly. So, anyways, just so I can keep my hearing, I said we need to get these mufflers before we can really drive it. And also, we had to worry about a dipstick issue where it was leaking out from the transmission. So, we got to take care of that, take care of this exhaust, and then we'll be ready to go. Well, we're on to our latest issue, and hopefully one of the last issues, our dipstick tube. What happened is that I believe the thing is all beat up and old and probably a little bit mangled, and that is leaking pretty badly at the transmission side. Same thing happened to a couple of my other builds I've had, and you know, I should have learned every time, and I say it and I never do. Just go buy a nice one. Like, I'm going to put a low car flexible one in just because of all the wiring that you can see right there, because here's your tube and she is leaking like crazy, and since there's no other leaks in the entire car, we don't need to add any new ones. So we are going to take care of this right now. Unbolted already because the LS engine doesn't even have a bolt where this would attach. Probably another reason why it's leaking. So now we need to figure out a way to get this thing out. Nice sweatshirt, huh? A lot of welding. That's what happens. It burns you right up. That's why I like to wear long sleeves. Save your skin a little bit. Well, it looks like we're going to pull this off. And then we're going to take our transmission modulator valve vacuum line out of the way. At least unhook it anyways, not take it out, because that's as difficult to take out as the dipstick. We don't need to have two projects on our hands. So we're going to try to get this to at least move a little better. Let's see, we got the main harness right here. I could unhook. This is difficult. Okay. That one's off. Alright, well, I had to move the camera so I could get in there a little better, and as you can see, put some needle nose vice grips on there and gave it a good tug. Now you get to try to snake it out of here. That's fun. Come on, baby. Unhook. In a minute, I'm going to cut this thing off because it's aggravating. It's caught in all the lines and all the wiring. I've had this issue in the past, you know, I should have known better. I don't know if it's with TCI or what, but I found that when I run their converters, every time I put the dipstick in, unless I have like a fancy one that really locks in and you can seal it up really good, when you shut the engine off, they always bleed back into the pan to the point where it's way over the level in the dipstick. But yet when it's running, you're like a quart or two low, unless you have it filled up to the point where when you shut it off, it backflows right back into the pan and overflows. So it's like the converter's backflow. I've had this is the third one in a row that I use their converter, which worked great, and I'm really happy with their product. But the bleed back on these things is a lot. So I'm wondering if it's an issue with theirs or what, because the factory one doesn't do that. You know, all the other ones, like the factory styles, don't do that. But these TCI ones do. So this little junky seal with a little bit of Permatex that's on there did not do the trick. So we're going to put a better one in. Actually, if you look, the seal's missing. It's still in the case. So I'm going to have to try to fish that out again with a pick tool. That's fun. There's so much room in there, but it's not bad, you know. I've worked on worse. Pick. Just reach it in there. Go. Pull the little rubber O-ring out. And then I'll be ready to put the new one in. So here's our new dipstick tube. I already got it on the floor here, getting ready to go into the car. So now I gotta climb under the car and get everything cleaned up and get rid of all the fluid, and then I can put it in. Now looking up here underneath the car, here's your transmission with the new pan and everything set up. Up there is the spot right there. See where my shadow is? That's your dipstick tube spot. So that's where it looks like all the fluid came from. I know most of it sure did. So if that doesn't solve all our issues, then we'll work on this modulator here. But I don't think that's where the leak was. I really do think it came off of the dipstick tube. I know a majority of it did. So that's where I'm going to start cleaning. So now as you can see, the fluid level is right up to the top of that hole that was there. So we're going to take this guy here that I use to pull fluid out of rear ends and stuff on certain cars. I think I even used it on this car actually when I pulled the gear oil out of the rear when I changed the fluid. So you just got to slide the end of it in and then draw on it, and it'll draw off some of the top fluid, so that way it'll be below the level where this rubber grommet needs to go. Then I can put that in, and I'll put some Permatex on it too. Not a bunch, just a little bit, just so it doesn't have a idea it wants to leak. And then slide in the end of the new filler right there, and it should be good. So let's draw it down. So, wow, this is awful. Okay. Alright, so we got our line in. I gotta apologize for the lighting. I'm just trying to give you guys a view of what's going on here. So all I gotta do is pull this down and see it's drawing the fluid out. So we'll draw some out. It's probably gonna end up being close to a half a quart anyways. To get it down. Still drawing. Okay, that's it. So now we'll pull the line out. There we go. Then we'll empty it in here. Wish I could hold this. I do have a GoPro in order, so to make this type of work a little better for everybody. So sorry for now. Now we're going to slide this down in here, and we can get it to that little grommet that I showed you before, that I just put into the transmission with a little Permatex around it. So now I'm going to try to snake this down. Let's see. You can find an opening somewhere. Definitely not easy. Oh, I'm getting there though. I got to put the camera down and get going from the bottom. Alright, so I got it all attached down bottom, no issues. The only other problem that we run into now is that, as you can see, the tube is a little bit longer than I would like. So I'm going to end up having to mount it somewhere in this range here. Something like this is probably where I'm going to have to mount it. So the problem is that the bracket is too wide. So I'm going to have to make a little bracket here. Probably have to rivet it into this fiberglass. And then take the two mounting points that are on the tube right here that I took off so I can template it. Have them mount to that plate I got to make here. And that way, this will sit nice and stay like this. So then I can put this tube in and be done. This is the little locking collar that holds the mounting bracket on. So there's always another issue every time you do something like this. It's something you'll find out when you're customizing a car. Like a dipstick tube length, you know, this is actually shorter than what I took out of here, but it's still not right and it doesn't work. So we have to modify it and make it work. It's just one of the fun things about customizing cars, you know. It's kind of like problem solving all the time. We got the thing mounted. We just took a bracket here, and I actually used a exhaust hanger with the holes that lined up exactly with this bracket right here. So then I just drilled a hole on top and bottom, riveted into the fiberglass here, and then bolted it right in with this bracket, and then moved the dipstick where I needed it, and then there it is. So there's our finished product. Came out good, and it's nice and sturdy, so we don't have anything to worry about, and that should solve our leak issue on the transmission. So all we got left to do now is get the exhaust mufflers in the side pipes. So we'll get on to that. Now here is a clip of what the exhaust sounded like with no muffler in it. So now you have something to compare to once the insert goes in. So for the muffler inserts, this is what we got. We got it from Classic Chamber Exhaust. They're a company we found on some Corvette forum stuff, doing our research. But as you can see, the core of it is a 3-inch core. Now, in the side pipe world, that's really difficult to find. Most of them are 2.5 or 2-inch. And with our LS motor making some pretty significant power at this point, without getting a 3-inch exhaust, it really would be choked up, losing power, wanting to run hot, just too much back pressure. So we had to go with the 3-inch core. So finally we found these guys, and they did a nice job fabricating these guys up right here. Now as you can see, this is what it is. You got this outside packing. Obviously you take the tape off. Then you slide this inside of the side pipe. Then you spread this just a little bit so that way it stays in place and doesn't rattle or vibrate. These are 4-inch to match our pipe, and then these are your 3-inch to do the rest. So I don't know if you can really make out in there. Let's see if I can get it in the light, maybe. But there's louvers all the way down there in there. So what happens is the exhaust flows into them, goes into the fiberglass, and then pops back out. And what that does, it should take a lot of the different exhaust notes out of it and hopefully quiet it down without making it not sound good. But I have a feeling, the way this engine sounds now, that it might even still be a little bit loud. But we'll have to play it by ear. Also, I know you noticed probably that we have this on this box. This is for our next project. I will be showing that off really soon, maybe in the next video. So guys, stay tuned and subscribe and hit that little bell icon for your post notifications. So that way you guys can stay up to date, because you can see we got the stainless steel long tube headers. Got a lot of great stuff from MBRP. Those guys do nice stuff. And that project is on its way now that we're starting to get the parts. So yeah, definitely stay tuned for that. That should be coming out this week coming. So now it is time to start ripping into this thing. Alright guys, as you can see, we got the wheels off and got it up in the air just enough to get them off. And now it's time to take the side skirts off here and then get the pipes off. Now it's time to get the side pipe off. Now we got the trim off. First we'll loosen up the pipe here. Tight quarters. Alright, well the easiest way I found to get in here, just open the door, give you a little bit more room. There it is. Now we'll bring it over here and get to work. So now you can see that it came with plastic on it. And we really obviously don't want to have plastic inside of our exhaust pipe. So we're going to try and unwrap it without destroying too much of the fiberglass. Let's see if we can just cut it right along this seam. Oh, cut it a little bit. There. One off. I did talk with the guy that sets this all up, and he was a really nice guy, and he was more than happy to answer questions and work with you, which is great. You want that with suppliers. You know, you kind of lose that nowadays, unfortunately, with a lot of companies. To be able to sit there and talk with the guy a little bit about what he thinks you should do and all that. But now you can really see the piping, see? So the exhaust flow will come in this way, Oh, actually, no, I'm sorry. The exhaust flow is going to come in this way, get caught in here, and pushed out into the fiberglass. And then it'll do its thing out here, and eventually be forced back in towards the end. So that should be do some cancellation for sure. So we want to get this so it's wrapped, covering the thing. You don't want to wrap it super tight. You just want to have it kind of loose, because if you have it too tight and it's too packed, then the exhaust flow is not going to even go into the fiberglass. So you want to have it somewhat loose. So now that this is set to go and the flow is pointing that way, we'll get our pipe, which is right here. You guys got to excuse the mess in here. It's been a lot of projects going on. So now we have to try to keep this fiberglass in place and do our first test fit here. Right. Get this in there a little further. There it is. All I did was bend this down a little bit. Not much, just a tiny bit with a pair of pliers. And as you can see, it fits in there pretty good. See down in there. And the packing's in there. What I did was I pushed it in farther than I really wanted it to sit. And then pulled it back just a little bit from the other end. I pushed... And that way I tried to center the packing a little bit on here, because it is kind of free moving. So I wanted to cover the baffles as much as I could. So that's how I did it. I pushed it in, and I know this slid all the way up to here. So I pushed it in and pulled it back a little bit, and this kind of stayed in place. I could feel it. So hopefully we got as many of the baffles covered as we can. So now let's put it back on. Open our door and snug them up. In themselves on side pipes. But I can tell you, these really did not get that hot. I mean, they're noticeably warm, but I don't think they'd even make you turn red if you rub your leg on them. So now we're going to find out how it is with the mufflers. It might be a little hotter because the flow is a little more restricted. But we'll find out, won't we? Get these snugged up. Guys, onto the other side. Got this wheel off too. Now it's time to get the side skirt off. We got our screws again, just like the other side. And I'll zing them out real fast. And then we'll get our pipe off. We slide it right out the back. So we're getting jammed up here. So what we got to do is we got to push it back in, pull it away, don't let it touch the paint, and then continue sliding it. Pulled that out finally. That was a pain. It was hanging up for some reason. It went in there without a problem, but now it wants to hang up. So it's always the way. Couldn't have it go too smoothly, right? So we got that out without scratching any paint, so that's key. Now it's time to get the side pipe off with the other side and get that packing in. The guy who owns Classic Chambered Exhaust, he said he's tried several different packings over the years, and this one by far is the one that lasts the longest in these conditions, and he's never having people complain that it failed. When he was first starting out, he was trying several different kinds and was not having the best of luck. So I am happy to use what the exhaust guy says works for exhaust, right? Side was definitely a lot more of a bear to put in than the other side. The insert didn't want to go in nice, but we got it. Had to take her time. There we go. That in there without gouging anything up. That was a miracle. Now we got to put this back together. So we got one on this end that can act as a locator. Obviously it needs to come up like this, but we'll fiddle with it when we get there. Well, we got our new exhaust. Let's get this thing fired up and see how it sounds. Better. Reminds me a lot of like the AC Cobras with the big blocks. I really love it. Guys, we're gonna have to leave it right there, unfortunately. I went to take it for a quick ride, and before I even got out of the driveway, I realized it wasn't shifting right. I'm gonna have to address the vacuum or the modulator or something like that. So I'll get into that with the next video, and then we'll get it on the road and get some fun with it with this new side pipes. So please like, subscribe, hit the post notification, check us out on Instagram. We're the Mass Mechanics.